Hey, what's up, TW? What are you up to? I'm bored. I doubled today, so wanted to come over. Chilling. What state are you in again? I forget. I'll try to remember. But yeah, what state you coming from? Oh, okay, West Virginia. You're my neighbor. Remember, I'm in PA, so you're my neighbor. Look how cool I never seen these flat marshmallows, but they make them for s'mores. They come in squares now. Y'all see these? Yeah, that would be lovely. My neighbor had one growing up, and I would love going over there, especially in the winter. No. Does this look like a dress to you? This is my work uniform. And why are you being so weird? Talking about this hot tub shit and asking me if I'm wearing a dress. Like, if you don't want to be in here, keep strolling. Oh, shit. So instead of making them into squares, I'm doing like a rice cake, like a circle. They're bigger. What's up, y'all? Who's in here? Talk to me. I'm bored. Y'all don't want to talk today? I'm gonna come back on tonight anyway when I get home.
First thing they did was take my ring, which is gold, and they took my watch, and then they took the money out of my pocket and my credit card. So later on, as it turns out, I'll fast forward a second. As it turned out, one of the things we both regretted, Bill and I, was we never made a Mayday call. As it turned out, we found out that we both made Mayday calls. We found out that we did things automatically. We spent the next day in a Jeep, and we ended up in the Hanoi Hilton, probably on February 17th, 1972. Once we got to the back of the truck, they threw me off the back of the truck. I had a bag on my head, and I was tied by my wrists and elbows together, placed up against the wall. They took each one of us into an interrogation room. When my turn came, they took me into the interrogation room, told me I was a war criminal, and that I was not a prisoner of war, and that I could be shot at the discretion of the North Vietnamese government. Whatever they could dream up, they wanted me to sign a confession about that so that they could publish that. I declined to do so, and the guard behind me started to beat on me with his rifle. Getting captured, I actually didn't know any pilot I heard of, but I didn't know any pilot that got captured, but I did worry. Well, I was shot down on February 16th, 1972.
Chase, where were you last night?
The worst day.
Oh,
The worst day was
email
the
me
next
so
day.
I could talk,
So it
give
took
you
us
my number and
24
talk to you
hours get
personally.
from our shoot-down location to where I ultimately found out I was in Hanoi. That was my best guess. Because we were blindfolded. We just presumed that's where we were going to end up. So February 17th was really the worst day. And I was really scared. I had no idea where I was. I had just been shot down. I was injured with a head injury. I hadn't been fed.
Jace,
I hadn't slept.
email me, Angelina
And now I'm
Barone
in a cell of
170
isolation
at
in a
Gmail.
6-foot square black room.
I went on
I had no
her
idea where I
thing
was.
last
I
night,
had
but
control
people
over my
are
fate.
pissed today. Did you hear what she said? It went,
To the people that you
I think
know
she's
as
trying to
well.
go viral.
Unfortunately, bad things do happen to those people.
On the day that Ralph, we received notification that Ralph had been.
Could she be
shot
rage
down.
baiting?
Probably the worst part of the 14 months that Ralph was away was not knowing whether he was alive or dead. You have no idea unless you go through something.
But
like
yeah,
that. It's like
yeah.
for the family.
It's all over today. Look her up. She made a video. She's mad because her kids, the first three she lost custody of, they didn't want to go over her house this weekend. Someone and here she is talking about guys again. Someone in her chat was like, worry about your kids. She literally was like, fuck those kids, F her own kids. So the internet's going in on her.
Just waiting to find out, is he alive or dead?
A priest that was my teacher from St. Joe's.
But yeah, ain't that
and
messed
the
up?
captain in charge of the ROTC unit at St. Joe's performed what's called a casualty assistance call. So my wife is now barely home from the hospital with this newborn, living with my Italian parents. And a knock comes on the door, as I'm told, and it is one of my priest teachers and the ROTC guy making this casualty assistance call. Their job was to deliver.
Yeah, did you see what they're all talking about?
Shot down over North Vietnam. We think we saw a parachute, but we don't know what his status is.
People are going in on her since last night.
Captured or missing.
We were in shock, absolute shock. His mother and father just couldn't believe it. And I remember.
I was so.
But yeah, email me, Jay, so I could talk to you,
My hands were trembling.
off
It was
of
like
this.
someone had shot adrenaline into my vein. So they had to tell me what it said and read it for me.
I remember the story my parents told me was they had to console the ROTC guy because he couldn't tell the story. It was just difficult for him to get that.
We now had to think about this child and what happened to her father. Where was he? And was he ever going to come home? They had no news on that. All they knew was that his plane had been shot down and he and his pilot had ejected. And they gave a mayday call before they ejected. The darkness loomed over everyone.
Alright guys, well, no one's on coming on. Let me finish my work. I gotta finish writing up and I'll be on tonight for sure.
We tried to accept people's kindness and thoughts, but the fact that we didn't know where Ralph was at all, and was he even alive, was just a horrible thing. That was a Wednesday night that this information.
What
came
is it?
from. The next few days were really difficult.
The story that I told my wife was, I'll be okay. However, if you ever get a visit from a priest and a military officer, all bets are off. And I told her the day before I left.
Ready whenever you
Don't
are.
worry about it. Everybody comes home okay. I mean, I was lying through my teeth. For a 6-month pregnant, 22-year-old, that was important for her to hear. So as it turns out, 90 days after I lied to her about that, that's what happened.
And when we finally found out that he was alive, it was a joyous occasion, but you had to live with that pain, not knowing what he was going through every single day.
All they did was pray to St. Jude and say,
Yeah, you gotta look at that video where she's like, fuck my kids, how about that? And her kids be on her YouTube, they watch it.
Of lost items. And that's what they did.
I remember I was still working at Channel
What's your
10 at the
email?
time, and I would get information earlier than other people because I worked for CBS.
You gotta give it to me,
And I would
Jace.
get the feeds. And finally, we did get some information that they did have some POWs And the best thing that ever happened was that the North Vietnamese wanted to publicize that they had American pilots, and they had a lineup, and that lineup was Ralph Galati. And I remember having the tape and calling my aunt and uncle saying,
If not, just email me.
You'll see it on the air tonight. It's great. He's alive. He's well. He's conscious. He knows what's going on.
The first prisoner brought out was Lieutenant Ralph William Galati of Pennsylvania.
It was one of the happier days of our lives to know that he was alive and well. I remember saying, this is great because he's on TV. They can't kill him now. He's probably going to survive this thing, but it's going to be a rough road. Yes, I'd like to say
You seen it? Did she come on addressing it today? She don't care. And her subs don't check her. Like, that's wild.
New baby is also doing well and they're all strong and feeling good. When I told them that I'm feeling okay also, I'm pretty strong. Sick with all my family back home and so I'm all right. I'll try and make some money also. Get it home. And I'd like to get some money here also. And tell everyone to take care of themselves and keep well. And that's exactly what it was.
No.
He's a tough guy, this Ralph Galati. All those POWs, I don't know how the hell they did it, but they did.
So I lost all of my freedoms that I was used to. All I knew was that the world had changed dramatically. And now I had to reset into going from a 23-year-old, barely military guy, barely adult, into this 23-year-old now prisoner of war that I was not trained for.
Guys, I say it every time. It's my name. It's Angelina Barone 170 at Gmail. But I'm gonna get a different one, so pretty soon y'all will be getting a different one.
It was a cell that was about 7 feet by 8 feet. It had 2 stone beds, leg shackles on the bottom. It had a very small.
Because I should have never gave that one out, but it's too late.
It had a single light bulb hanging by a wire from the ceiling that was on all the time. And had a steel door that creaked, and it had a very heavy metal bar that they would slam open and shut. Again, that was part of the intimidation process.
I can't wait to get off. I've been here since 8.
They would open the window and look
I
in.
still got a
and
couple
slam the
hours.
window closed again. Inside, there was a single bucket for our use, and I had my.
But did you get it,
clothes
Jace?
that I was wearing.
It's Angelina Barone 170
Is cold.
at
surprisingly.
Gmail.
Even though it's pretty far south, the temperature there because of the winds and the mountains and the Chinese border, it is pretty.
Let me
cold.
know.
We get down into the 30s at night. And we never had any kind of ventilation, so when in certain rooms, you would have window holes, but not glass. So basically, you were living outside temperature. And when you have nothing other than a set of pajamas, you might have socks, you don't have blankets, you might have a mosquito net in the summer. That was it. There were no pillows, there were no blankets, there were no beds, and I got very used to sleeping on cement. I got very used to having roommates that were rats. You got very used to total reliance on
BARONE 170.
whether they let you empty your bucket or not.
B is in boy.
Go outside or not. So when I mentioned that you lost all of your freedoms, it is even some of the basic essentials like that. Give me an example. When you ran out of toilet paper, you were out of toilet paper. The toilet paper were like those old brownish paper towels they used to find the sanitation workers. They were coarse and hard and nasty. But when you ran out, you didn't knock on the door and say, refill please. I mean, it was it. If they chose to give you none for a week, you had nothing. Even the basics of toilet paper and water, any kind of clothing, were really issues that you just didn't know how
B.
to contend with.
Is in boy.
Come in every day and try to do an interrogation, and they wind up giving me a book where I was supposed to sign a confession and write my entire history. That was the only time I did any creative writing in my life. I was not very good with English. I didn't want to over-exercise because the diet sucked. So if you like insects in your food,
then the food was okay. But you had no idea what you were eating. You just ate to survive. And were there for 4 to 8 years. Were really abused on a regular basis. But then the press started to get wind of this. POWs got released and came back and said, the treatment up there is not what they claim it to be. Things got a little bit better, and then Ho Chi Minh died, and I think with new leadership, things evened out a little bit after that.
Yep. Yeah, Chase. Or Chase.
The worst beatings that I got was the night after
Call
my injection.
in. Hey,
So I
babe.
know
Yeah,
that
I'm
the townspeople
working.
there were going to kill us. So they ripped off all of our heavy equipment. They stole what they
Can't
could.
wait to go
They beat us
home.
and were going to kill
Been
us.
here
Just
all
like
day.
they were
I
until
doubled.
a local
Oh,
militia guy
hope I
saved
didn't
us.
scratch.
So I was already starting off
I
with
doubled.
some injuries, going into now this period of trying to figure out how am I going to adapt to being a
Anyone
prisoner,
see
how am
the
I gonna
fight?
handle
I heard
myself
Ryan
during
knocked him out in
interrogation.
30 seconds.
And then they were bringing in after
The
24
boxing
hours of
match?
no light, 24 hours of heavy light, 24 hours of cacophonous music coming in the door, being yanked out for an interrogation.
I wish I could get the fight
That kind of
or
cycle
stream it.
was really disturbing, and it was just hard to be on your A game.
It was a time when the negotiations were going on. Richard Nixon was the president. Apparently, he felt that the North Vietnamese were stalling in the negotiations. He ordered all of the air assets the United States possessed, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Army, everything that we had, convinced the North Vietnamese that they should come back to the negotiating table. And it included B-52s. At that time, I was a co-pilot on a B-52.
Over the years, people might ask, what is the most important day you had, or what was it that impacted you the most? And even though your repatriation date was really important, I have to tell you that at the end of December of 1972, there was about a 10 or 12 day period when the B-52s bombed the hell out of Hanoi.
Linebacker 2 operation started on the 18th of December in 1972. We flew the first 2 nights, but those nights we attacked outside of the
Dropping
city
mad
of Hanoi,
missiles.
in the areas, attacking power generation stations and supply depots.
You have to realize dozens and dozens of sorties of B-52s, each carrying 100 bombs for 10 or 12 straight days.
Damn.
It was really impactful.
Look at this.
Now, we are, as POWs, we're on the
Next night, we went into Hanoi,
Oh,
flying at 35,000 feet, we were doing about 500 miles an hour plus.
they just showed it dropping so many missiles.
3 o'clock in the morning. As we arrived,
I never seen nothing like
you
that.
can see the surface-to-air missiles come up through the undercarriage.
Let's see if they do it again.
Look up on the ground, and then as it pierced the oval, you could see this telephone-like object aircraft. As close to the target.
once again, 25,000 feet.
I was trying to show you they dropped like, it looked to me like 100 missiles.
Really close to us. The Russians really wanted to do was to kill 52 spies, that the only way we were getting the hell out of town was for us to bomb the North Vietnamese into submission. And that's pretty much what the B-52s did.
I remember Ralph's reaction to Nixon's Christmas bomb in 72. They said, were you scared? He said, no, they knew what POWs were. He said, when we heard the B-52s overhead, we knew we were going home.
Y'all hear that? When they heard the B-52s overhead, they knew they were going home.
Surface-to-air missile struck underneath our left wing. When it struck under the left wing, it set 3 of our engines on fire on that side. The B-52 has 8 engines.
Y'all like the History Channel? I like learning about the wars and just all that.
Was back on it, activated the bombing and navigation systems. We got to the target, released the bombs. We were struck by a second surface-to-air missile, which was myself, and you can see the left wing, but not the right wing. He looks at me, I guess he's made his decision, and he goes like, yes, And I said, oh, that's great. The aircraft is fine. We're going to make it to the coast. Apparently, that was not exactly what he meant. So he gave me another signal. And I'm saying, yeah, that's great. We're going to make it. And then he looks at me, probably be the stupidest co-pilot on the planet. Ejects from the aircraft, so I'm sitting
Every
there.
time I
He's
take
sitting
the
next to
camera
me
off,
for
they're
one
dropping
second,
all
and the
the.
next second he's
Anyway,
gone, and I'm
I
the
got it,
aircraft
Jace.
commander. So I decide that's
I
probably
got
why
your
this is not
email.
on maintain. So I followed him and ejected out of the aircraft as well.
The peace agreement was signed in January, and notifications were sent out sometime after that about when the prisoners were going to be released.
I was the only Iraq War veteran in Congress, so for me, I look at the Vietnam veterans in Congress, people like John McCain and Jack Murtha, had served.
A week before, 2 weeks before he was released, my family received a phone call from Senator John McCain. He wasn't a senator at the time, but he called.
I will tell you, knowing John McCain, I didn't get to know him because of Ralph Galati. When I told him the first time, Senator, it's an honor to meet you. I'm, Congressman from Northeast Philadelphia, Bucks County. Friends of Ralph Galati, he lit up. He said, hey, Patrick, you let me know whatever you need, let me know.
And he spoke to Rosemary, my sister-in-law, and told her, I saw Ralph and he's doing okay, and he'll be home soon.
Those two had a bond, like all POWs that are in captivity together. They have a bond, and it is like twin brothers. They will fight to the death for each other because they have gone through the worst. They have seen evil with their own eyes. They have gone through, frankly, things that are.
John McCain died, right, y'all?
He was one of the highest ranking officers in Hanoi Hilton. That was pretty unique to have that information.
And so for me to see that brotherhood in action, to see them, what they went through, to know about them, to know that Ralph Galati and John McCain are these two national heroes that I read about, that I learned about, that I got to know personally, it's an honor of a lifetime.
The activity started to build because it's, oh my gosh, it's going to be real, because we heard from him and he's saying he's coming out. So it was a couple weeks later that Ralph was scheduled. We traveled, my parents, of course, Rosemary and the baby, and my husband came with us when we traveled to Andrews Air Force Base in Washington.